Season 2 of Riverdale started off with a literal bang and set us off on a mystery behind the mass murderer in the small town of Riverdale, that Black Hood. Welcome to Recap Rewind Wrap Up. I'm JLAG.
And I'm NB, and we are going to be wrapping up the Black Hood mystery and all the clues and Easter eggs you may have missed in less than 6 minutes. And go.
So just a quick backtrack to the finale of season 1 where Fred Andrews, Archie's daddy, gets shot at Pop's diner because that's where the Black Hood first shows his face. Well, not really, just his piercing green eyes.
But is he dead? No. Fred's good, but while he's recovering in the hospital, the Black Hood strikes again and murders Miss Gruns, who relocated to Greendale one town over. And that shit was pretty brutal. R.I.P. Gruns.
The Black Hood continues his tirade and goes after the so-called drug-abusing, sex-hungry teens of Riverdale and shoots at Moose and Midge at Makeup Point. Rude. Thankfully, Moose protects Midge, but also doesn't die because of his secret gay shield that only Kevin can penetrate.
The Black Hood sends out a declaration to post in the town paper and lets everyone know he is a killer here to rid the town of sin. Dun dun dun.
He writes to Betty and tells her that her speech is what inspired him.
He says he's doing it for me.
And then creates a puzzle that Betty needs to decode to figure out where he'll strike next. She decides to send it to her mom and get the whole town to help figure it out. Surprise, the whole town is useless. And while she's arguing with her man candy Jugs, she realizes it's from the Nancy Drew book she used to read as a kid. And just in time before he strikes at the town hall.
Our girl Betty Cooper starts to get phone calls from the Black Hood explaining why he does what he does and creeps everyone the F out. He also blackmails her into breaking up with her friends and boyfriend, and she basically has a meltdown.
Full spiral, tragic.
She wants to know who he is, so she meets him in an abandoned house. She gets there, but there's nothing but a box with a Black Hood in it. He tells her to put it on and says, "We are the scene." She gets spooked and runs away. He calls her one more time and forces her to name someone he should kill. She names Nick St. Clair. Quick side note, that episode 5 is called When a Stranger Calls, which references a movie where, spoiler alert, the call is coming from inside the house.
The next morning, Betty runs to the 5 Seasons, where Nick is staying, but he's okay. She tells him and his fam to get the F out of Riverdale because they're in trouble. After realizing Betty's darkness, the Black Hood calls her again to find the drug dealer nicknamed the Sugar Man so he can get rid of him.
The fact that you're asking me to find him means that you can't. I'm a school newspaper reporter.
After a bunch of sleuthing, she gets the name from Cheryl. The Sugar Man is revealed, but Betty decides not to tell the Black Hood and instead says he's in jail and promises that she's gonna catch the Black Hood instead. He goes to the jail anyway and pops off the Sugar Man, aka Robert Phillips, a teacher from the South Side.
In the next ooky spooky episode, the kids of Riverdale are still haunted by the Black Hood on the loose. While that's going down, we're introduced to Mr. Svensson, the janitor, who helps Josie out of some trouble with Chuck. Meanwhile, Betty and Veronica go on a mini mission to find out if Sheriff Keller is the Black Hood, but all they uncover is his hot-ass body and his secret relationship with Mayor McCoy.
After some sleuthing by Archie and Veronica, they also find out about the murder that took place years ago, which involved a man going crazy and killing his family except for one surviving victim. They realize that it's Mr. Svensson, the janitor, but when he's confronted, he runs away. He finally gets caught by Archie and he explains that he's been in hiding for years because of what happened to his fam.
Later, Archie and Betty get a box from the Black Hood with a finger in it. Yeah. After a quick call from the BH, he challenges Archie and Betty to find Mr. Svensson, who is the one whose finger it is. After a quick visit with Grandma Blossom, Betty learns that her grandfather, along with 3 other men, captured the original murderer of the family and buried him alive. Betty realizes the location, but only to dig up an empty coffin. The BH shows up and forces Betty to bury Archie alive, and while the police arrive, the BH runs away. Shocker. After a quick jog across the bridge, Archie stops him while Sheriff Keller shoots and kills the mass murderer. The Black Hood is revealed to be Mr. Svensson, and all is well in Riverdale. Hashtag not really. Both Archie and Betty and the entire Riverdale fandom have major doubts that Svensson was the real BH.
After a few non-Black Hood episodes, he returns during the Carrie musical by publicly stating he's back by murdering Midge, one of the original victims that he wanted to claim. He tells the rest of Riverdale that those who escaped him last time are now going to face his judgment head on.
Betty gets a phone call from the man himself. He tells her to hand over her estranged brother Chick. While taking notes, Jughead walks in and Betty hangs up. When Jughead asks who it is, she slyly says,
Oh, it's my dad.
Betty decides to deliver Chick to the BH, and when she returns, she finds out her dad had been missing at the same time. This gets her to conclude that her father is the real Black Hood.
As Betty continues to investigate with Cheryl, she finds the same book that she used to decode the first cipher in her dad's secret apartment. As she continues on her trail, during the mayoral debate, a masked Black Hood attacks, which confuses the F out of us and Betty. But not for long. She still calls her dad to meet where it all began, aka the auditorium. But he doesn't show up. And meanwhile, the Black Hood shows up at Cheryl's front door.
As Cheryl runs away barely, she shoots him with her arrow, Katniss Everdeen style. Leaving him wounded and running, Cheryl lets Betty know that the BH, aka Hal, may be on his way to her. Betty follows him to the hospital but barely misses him and instead gets a phone call from her dad where he says to get home or he will kill her mom. She arrives, and after watching a little home movie explaining Hal's deranged history, basically Hal's grandpa was the OG Black Hood, and after he died, Hal's cray-cray mom conditioned him to become the next Black Hood. And after Betty seeing
We must do better.
at the town hall, Hal got triggered and started his assault.
You must do better.
After Alice provokes him, he starts choking her, but Betty grabs a shovel from the fireplace and knocks that mofo unconscious. Hal is arrested and taken away. Bye!
After struggling with her own darkness all season and denying her father's forgiveness, she finally confronts him, Clarice Hannibal style, and says goodbye. Bye, bitch! And that's the beginning and end of the Black Hood storyline. Let us know what you thought about it. Did we miss any crucial Easter eggs from the season? Comment below.
And don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for watching!